Hi everyone, my name is Trisha with the Clearview Library District and we'll do a story time together today. Today our story time is going to tie into the Summer Adventure Program Challenge, which is to recreate a book cover of your favorite book. So I'm going to be reading my favorite book and then I'm going to take you along on a journey with me to recreate this cover. But first, let's say hello. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. It's nice to see you here. Hello children. Hello grown-ups. Hello everyone. It's nice to see you here. All right. So this book is called A Chair for My Mother by Vera B. Williams. This is my favorite picture book because I remember when I was a kid, I read this book a lot and I loved the chair in this book. I thought it looked so comfortable. And I remember I made a little version of this book called Flowers for My Mother and gave it to my mom for Mother's Day. So I have fond memories of this book. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school, sometimes I go to meet her there. Then her boss, Josephine, gives me a job too. I peeled all the onions for the onion soup. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. And every time I put half of my money into the jar. Look at the jar there. There's not very much change in there. Let's count it together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 coins. Starting with a little bit of savings. It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mama empties all her change from tips out of her purse for me to count. Then we push all the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she's so tired she falls asleep while I count the money into piles. Some days she has lots of tips. Some days she only has a little. Then she looks worried. But each evening, every single shiny coin goes into the jar. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually, Grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. Often she has money in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts by the savings and they go into the jar. Does that kitchen look familiar? Do you notice things in that kitchen that you have in yours? I have a teapot in my kitchen. I have a jar of spoons in my kitchen. It looks like a pretty cozy kitchen, but I think Mama wishes she had an even comfier place to sit. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we are going to take out all the money and go buy a chair. Yes, a chair, a wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get one covered in velvet with roses all over it. We are going to get the best chair in the whole world. That is because our old chairs burned up. There was a big fire in our other house. All our chairs burned. So did our sofa, and so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. They used to have comfy chairs, and then they lost them. My mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals, she had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. She was saying that she liked red tulips, and I was saying I liked the yellow ones. Then we came to our block. Right outside the house stood two big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. All the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother?" I yelled, "Where's my grandma?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, she's here, okay, don't worry." How do you think they're feeling? They're wondering what's happened to their house and everyone in it. They're probably feeling a little scared. But Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too, though it took a while to find her, but everything else in our whole house was spoiled. Do you see the kitty there? Reaching out of the garbage pail. She was probably scared too, but she's safe. What was left of the house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow. The floors were shiny, but the rooms were empty. The first day we moved in the neighborhood, the neighbors brought pizza and cake and ice cream, and they brought a lot of other things too. The family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa brought us his beautiful rug. My mother's other sister, Sally, had made us red and white curtains. Mama's boss, Josephine, brought pots and pans, silverware and dishes. My cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my grandma made a speech. "You are all the kindest people," she said, "and we thank you very, very much. It's lucky we're young and can start all over." All of their neighbors and family members came to help them out. Wow, look at how much change is in that jar now. I don't think we're going to be able to count that together. That's a lot of change. I bet they can buy a chair. That was last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mom comes home, her feet hurt. "There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet," she says. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut up potatoes, she has to get as comfortable as she can on a hard kitchen chair. So that is how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all the coins started to go into the jar. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift down. I think that jar would be incredibly heavy. Uncle Sandy gave me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. Do you have a jar like this at your house, where you save all your coins? After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. "Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full," Mama said. My mother brought home little paper wrappers for the nickels and the dimes and the quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them all up. On my mother's day off, we took all the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took the bus downtown to shop. What are they going to shop for? You're right. We're going to shop for a chair. We shopped through 4 furniture stores. We tried out big chairs and smaller ones, high chairs and low chairs, soft chairs and harder ones. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks and the three little bears trying out all the chairs. Do you have some different chairs or places to sit in your room right now? Maybe you could go try them out. Do you have a soft chair? Do you have a hard chair? What about a tall chair? Or a low chair? Which one is your favorite? Finally, we found the chair we were all dreaming of, and the money in the jar was enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down in their pickup truck to drive the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for the chair to be delivered. Which one of those chairs is the chair for them? You'll recognize it by the pattern. It has the same pattern that the cover of the book has on it. You were right. It was the chair with the flower pattern. I tried out our chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit while we drove, but they let me sit in it while they carried it up to the door. We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Grandma and Mama and I all sat in it while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks with people going by in the daytime. Mama sits down and watches the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her and she can reach right up and turn out the light if I fall asleep in her lap. So do you notice who is sitting at their feet? You're right, it's the kitten. The kitten they were afraid they lost in the fire, but she was safe. So I have a little rhyme for you. You're gonna maybe want to get up out of your seat so you can look around for your kitten with me. Okay. Kitten was hiding under a chair. I looked and I looked everywhere. I looked under the table. I looked under the bed. I looked in a corner. And then I said, "Here, kitty, kitty, here, kitty, kitty, I have a bowl of milk for you." And the kitten came running and said, "Meow, meow, meow." Okay, now that you know how that one goes, do you want to do it with me? Kitten was hiding under a chair. I looked and I looked everywhere. I looked under the table. I looked under the bed. I looked in a corner. And then I said, "Here, kitty, kitty, here, kitty, kitty, I have a bowl of milk for you." And Kitty came running and said, "Meow, meow, meow." All right. Now I'm going to show you how I recreated the cover of this book. And while you're watching, you can be thinking of what book cover you would like to create. So pick your very favorite picture book and recreate the cover, and you can be thinking about what sort of supplies you might need, what things you have around the house to make the cover. So let me show you what I did.
Okay, so for the craft today, I'm going to be recreating the cover from the book we just read to go along with our Summer Adventure Program challenge. So I'm going to be guiding you through the process that I took, but you are going to be recreating the cover from your very own favorite picture book. I chose this one since it's my favorite. So my first step was to recreate the pattern. And I grabbed myself a piece of cardboard and I used pink Post-it notes and just simply made little kind of rosebud shapes all around the outside edges because I'm going to be covering the middle part with some blue paper. So that's going to be my next step. Okay, so I have the cover of my book here with the background of the sky cut out. And the next thing that I need to do is get this shape for the diner. So I've got that cut out here. And I drew on some rough shapes for the windows, and then I'm going to cut those out. Okay, so now I have the windows cut out of the diner, and I'm going to glue it on about there so that I can get the bottom and the top part of the cover of the book. And there's a lot of details going on the inside here, so I'm really just going to focus on what's happening in the foreground, which are these people. And I might stick a few additional people in the windows, so it looks like there's people sitting in the diner. And to do that, because I'm not super great at drawing, I have these little cutouts of vintage people that I can use. And this person is sitting down, so I could put them on a stool in the diner. And I can use these to populate the inside of my diner. So my picture book cover is turning out to be pretty multimedia, which just means that I'm using a lot of different supplies to make it. But if what you have available to you is a piece of paper and some crayons and markers, then absolutely that is fine for creating your book cover. I just happen to have a lot of these little like scrapbooking supplies and scrap paper lying around my house, so I thought this would be a good way to make use of them. Okay, so I've gotten this far in my cover recreation. I have the diner set up with the windows. I have some people peeking out of the windows, just like in the original cover, but I don't have as many people. And now I'm ready to start with the details on the diner here. So I think that's a pretty prominent detail on this book cover, and it's something that I can do because those are all diamond shapes and I can draw that. So I'm going to start working on that next. Okay, so this is how far I've gotten in my cover recreation. My next step is going to be to get the title up here, and then I'm going to start making the bottom part of the book. And the hardest thing that I'm going to have to do is to recreate this little girl. I'm going to have to cut her out of some other paper because I can't draw over the top of this. So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to do that. But for now, I'm just going to focus on writing the title and getting the bottom part of the book done. All right, so here's where I'm at with my recreation. I added some color down here to the bottom, and I added in the step, and I've got a little bird down here because there are some very tiny little birds on the cover here. And I also got the title written in, and I added in some clouds up here, and I'll be writing the author's name up here. But right now I'm going to focus on cutting something out to serve as the little girl. I have this paper that's very thin, and it will be easy to cut. I think I'm going to create like a little shape out of this and use that. It might just be to practice, but I'm going to give it a try. Okay, so this is my final recreation. I've got the little girl standing on the step. And one thing that I decided to add that I didn't mention was coloring inside of the windows. That way it looks more like they're sitting inside somewhere. And I also added the name of the author. And yeah, this is my finished cover. So something that I would recommend to you as you sit down to create your own covers is, of course, pick your favorite book, regardless of what the cover is. If you have a cover that's a little bit more complicated, like this one, I would just recommend thinking about the main themes and try to focus on those instead of getting every little detail. And I would also recommend just using whatever you have lying around the house. So all of these things that I used to make this cover are things that I already had, so I didn't have to buy anything new. And that makes it a little bit more challenging, but it also, I think, makes it more fun and unique to you. So I would love to see what you guys create. And of course, if you're doing this as a part of the Summer Adventure program, you will need to submit these to submissions at clearviewlibrary.org so that you are entered into the drawings. So thanks for joining me on this journey. I know it's a little bit different from the normal crafts that I do in Storytime today, but I hope you enjoyed following along. And I hope that you have fun making your own book covers.
All right, thanks so much for joining me for Storytime today. If you aren't already signed up for our Summer Adventure program to participate in these challenges, you can do that by going to clearviewlibrary.org, and you're going to look for Imagine Your Story, and that is our Summer Adventure program, and you will get emails with directions to all of our challenges over the summer. And when you complete a challenge, you will be automatically entered into a drawing to win some pretty cool prizes. All right, but now it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.